This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. How are we doing today? And welcome to the Sunday Big Football Show with Mac, Jack, and Jim Jeffcoat, getting ready to go over all the games from Thanksgiving through the first Black Friday game to previewing this week's games. And also Keith Angle will help us go over a bunch of great games in rivalry week and some of the most exciting football I've seen all year. Some teams really getting by, the bigger teams just getting by some of their teams that they play in state or in conference. So it's going to be really great having Keith on. Good morning to everyone out there. Good morning, Jack and Jim. How we doing?
Doing well. Good morning.
Excellent. And I know Jim was
already. This is going to be a tough show if we muted him already.
I know Jim is feeling good and ready to go after eating his girlfriend out of house and home as he gets back from Thanksgiving dinner. So eating that big man must be something else. So anyway, folks.
Yeah, I gotta, it's an intriguing question, not to get off topic, but my wife asked me on Thanksgiving Day, when do the players eat? How do they eat? What's their schedule?
Depending on what time the game is, Jack.
What do the Cowboys do? They play the 4:30 Eastern Daylight Time game. When do they eat Thanksgiving dinner?
The night before the game, they have a turkey type of pregame, but most guys eat the day after the game, Jack, on Friday.
Unless you're Dak Prescott. Unless you're Dak Prescott, then you're eating during the game as he was eating.
I know.
As the game was progressing on there. So I know Jack wants to discuss the dinner plans and all that, but let's get to football. It was a Thanksgiving. The best game was the upset of the week where Green Bay ends up beating Detroit. Detroit cannot win a Thanksgiving Day game, Jim. I don't know what it is. Since Barry Sanders left, they can't win it. And to me, to lose to Green Bay, to me, shows me that the Detroit Lions aren't ready to take that next step in the playoffs.
Well, here's the thing that's interesting about it. This happened last year with Green Bay. If you remember, they went on a run at the end of the season. They got better. Everybody's criticizing Jordan Love, but Jordan Love the week before threw his first 300-yard game, and he's starting to progress. Something about the Packers at the end of the year, they play better. And this is the same way. I think the Packers are a year. I've always said that, a year away from being a good team, not a great team. And Detroit is still, like you said, they're not at that level yet.
Well, last year when the Packers went on the run, they had to win the final game of the season at home against the Lions, and they lost that game, and it bumped them out of the playoffs. So maybe they got a little measure of revenge this year.
Yeah. Good morning, Rick. We missed you last week.
Good morning, Rick. Glad to see you in the house, and of course down underneath we got Keith Angle. So let's get through these other games a little quick. Listen, Jim, I scolded a lot of people, including some commentators on our network, about keep saying, "Oh, Dallas hasn't beaten any winning teams." Let me tell you, when they play teams that aren't as good as they are, they beat them by a lot, 20, 25 points, sort of like what Alabama and Georgia does to the teams that they're not supposed to be playing. And
well,
to me,
everybody, if you remember, a gentleman that's on our show with us said that Dallas would implode after the Arizona game, which they did lose. They didn't implode. They got better because they got their focus. And they're supposed to be those teams bad. They're supposed to.
Yes, I agree. And the team, and they haven't played again like scrubs when they're playing the teams that are good. They could have won that Philadelphia Eagle game just as easy as they lost that game.
That is true.
Dallas wins big. San Francisco kind of takes apart Seattle. You've got the quarterback over there, Geno Smith, playing with an injured bicep. I don't even know why he's I don't know why, but they said he had a hurt bicep muscle for whatever it was over there. But
if you notice, nobody talked about Brock Purdy, but he had something on his arm too.
Yes.
And you kind of wonder with Seattle, they went out of their way to sign Drew Lock as a backup, to keep him on the team. Yeah. And they did. He stayed with the team. So if Geno Smith is hurt, why wasn't Drew Lock in there? Unless they want to send a message that, Smith is our franchise quarterback.
Well, didn't they give him a big contract? Didn't they give him
a short term, basically 1 year. They can get out of it at the end of this year.
Oh, okay.
That is true. Good morning to Keith Engel. We'll bring him in here. Thank you, Rick, for pointing that out. I did pick the score of that game that, Jack, for some reason, thought the Jets.
I thought the Dolphins would win. I said the Dolphins would win. I thought it would be close, but I did say the Dolphins would win.
Too. And so I'm surprised Keith showed up because there's a big match coming today in
football. I don't think I'm gonna overexert myself watching that game. So I think I'll be
What do you mean, Keith? What are you talking about?
Giants against the Patriots.
The over/under looks like an Iowa over/under today. So.
I can't wait. I can't wait to get to that. But let's finish this up right now. Jack was, like I said, was actually saying it was going to be 16-14. If it weren't for the pick six, they would only scored one touchdown. Jets are averaging one touchdown a game this year, and you're not going to win. I don't care how great your defense is. You got to help them out a little bit.
Pittsburgh hasn't been over 20 points the whole year, right? Or only one time, right?
Who's that?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not talking about Pittsburgh. I'm having fun.
Well, they have a new offensive coordinator. There's potential to get better for the Steeler offense. For the Jet offense, the way it is now, there's no potential for it to really get much better. And I kind of wonder, Keith, with New England, is there truly potential for the rest of this season for the offense to get better? Is Mac Jones suddenly going to regain his confidence? Are they going to throw in new schemes? I doubt it.
I have a little to say about that. If you want to wait till the New England portion, I can answer right now.
Let's wait for that.
Okay, that's fine.
We'll wait for that. Jack likes to take over and do his own format.
I'm contemplating Mac. You just like to take swipes and
I tell him every week if he wants to produce the show, go ahead, and he never does. I want to keep on the Jets for a minute.
You just want to avoid talking about the Giants dismal season that they're having.
I didn't say nothing about the Giants, Jack. Jim, you played football. Keith, your observation too. Are the Jets the most undisciplined football team in the NFL? Penalties, fights. They want to fight more than they want to play football. And they get penalized every time they do something.
But that comes from the top. That's the coaches.
It's coaching.
Because if he could walk in there, and you know how the Miami Hurricanes and the Dallas Cowboys, but you notice we didn't get a lot of penalties because Jimmy wouldn't tolerate it. So there's Salah tolerating that. You either coaching it or teaching it.
Salah being
it's not just the Jets, though, either. Jets are really bad, but there's a lot of that going around the league in general. And again, I think it comes down to coaching, as Jim said.
Yeah, Tom Brady said that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
And there are a lot of penalties on the defensive end. Fatigue sets in if you're the Jet defense. Any defensive unit.
That's very true.
After a while, you see the offense isn't going to do anything. Things aren't going to get better. How do you remain motivated? Jim could answer that more than anyone else. It's a burden.
Every time you're fighting for your position on the team. Prime example is the Broncos. The Broncos gave up 70 points to the Miami Dolphins, as we all remember. But did you see the following weeks what they're doing? That defense is pride. They got rid of their top guys, pass rushers, and they got better. You have to have guys on the same page. And that's what happened to us. We got better because we had the coaching and the players that said, hey, we're not going to accept this. So that's what you have to do.
Yes.
You got to be able to change the dynamics of it.
That's very true. That's all things from a lady's perspective. That's Sonia Pearson, who will be in with us at 9:00 today. Go ahead, Keith.
I got before you move on from the pro football or Thursday's games real quick. I got a question for Jim because I talked about this on my show Friday, and I don't want to take anything away from Bland. I think is his name, right? Who set the record for pick six return for a touchdown in one season this year.
Yes,
great record, but I was talking about if you're really good at that corner slot, you're not returning 5 touchdowns with picks because you're not getting thrown at that much. He's got to be getting thrown at a lot to return those number of picks.
Well, what's happening, Keith, is you know who they have on the other side.
Gilmore on the other side. So
Gilmore,
yeah.
And he's on the opposite side of the quarterback because most quarterbacks are right-handed. The interesting thing is when he faces Tua left-handed, how they attack him. But the kid is good.
No, yeah, I don't really want to take anything away from him. You got to throw.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't throw at him.
Yeah,
but
no.
If you remember against Philly, he gave up that pass to AJ Brown on the deep pass. But he does do some things, quality things, and he's lean and long.
Yeah,
he only had one scholarship offer coming out of high school, and he was. I want to say he was at a smaller school and went to Fresno State for his last year.
Yeah, I wanted to get your first.
But no,
it's just Keith. It's a good philosophy. Do you throw at a shutdown corner? Because if you don't throw at a shutdown corner like a Deion Sanders, a Darrelle Revis type, they've beaten you. Once you concede and don't throw to their side of the field, you have to test them from time to time.
Yeah,
and that's true. But also, Keith, when you say that, Deion Sanders, and I told you how hard he worked, he would come in early in the morning and he would tell Mike Zimmer, who was the defensive coordinator, he said, I'm going to take this whole side, roll the coverage away from me. And he said, I got this. Don't worry about it. And he used to always say that, and he would do it.
Yeah,
that is an exceptional corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Keith, let's get into the college games. Unbelievable games to me, all through. Texas kills Texas Tech. Arch Manning with his first start, Keith, lights him up. I don't know if you saw it or not, but what a performance.
I saw part of that game that he definitely played really well, and you may see Arch Manning starting in the Big 12 championship game next year or next week. So
he won't start over you.
You might. Probably won't, but
that would be a gutsy move to start him over yours.
You might see him depending on how that game goes. They need to win that game convincingly, in my mind, to have a shot at the playoff.
Oklahoma State is not bad, though.
No, they've had. You know what? This would have been. Texas has been hurt a lot by the teams that they've beaten and how they played afterwards. They got hurt by Oklahoma losing twice. They got hurt after losing to them. They got hurt by Oklahoma State losing badly because they're going to play them in the championship game to UCF 2 weeks ago. So Texas, through no fault of their own, has had their stock dropping because of other teams' play.
Yeah,
Missouri at number 9 beats Arkansas 28-14, a couple touchdowns. Was it a closer game than it looked like, Keith?
No, not really. I thought Arkansas actually would play better for their coach.
I did too.
Coming back, they were all happy that Sam Pittman was coming back, and they were out of it from the beginning. Missouri probably going to get it.
Oregon.
Get a good
a bowl game, yes. Oregon destroys Oregon State 31-6, Keith. So much for that rivalry. I mean, they're getting ready for that Washington game next week.
Oregon's rolling. Oregon's playing as good as anybody in the country since the Washington game, and this is going to be a great matchup next week. Washington better play better than they played the last month for sure.
But Oregon is ahead of Texas in the polls.
Yeah.
So if Oregon beats Washington, they'll probably be in the top 4.
I think the winner of the Pac-12's in. Yeah, either one I think is in definitely. Oregon will get in with one loss, I believe. Yes.
Michigan, Keith, even without Jim Harbaugh, beats Ohio State 30-24. I mean, did you see that? Did you see it coming, Keith?
I thought Iowa State would Iowa State. Good grief. Ohio State would win this game, but Michigan again in the second half just takes the air out of the ball. They ran, what was it, a 7 minute, over a 7 minute drive before they kicked the field goal. Ohio State had a chance at the end, but the kid threw the interception.
Let me ask you, I have a question for you, Keith. Do you think Marvin Harrison Jr. is a generational talent?
I do, but unfortunately, I haven't been able to use him. I don't think the way they'd like
I
to.
agree with you. He might be a generational talent.
I think he's the best player in college football. But
we heard that about Devontae Smith, who's been outstanding for the Eagles, but he hasn't shown himself to be a generational talent
no,
yet.
This guy is way bigger than Devontae Smith. He's 6'2.5".
Yeah.
He's like AJ Brown with speed.
He's physical for sure.
Yeah.
But why don't we wait to see him play in the NFL for a year before we start calling him a generational talent?
Well, the Bears might have a big decision. If they get Carolina's pick and it's number 1, if they have a decision to keep Justin Fields and draft Harrison, the elite receiver, or go the quarterback route. So they're going to have a heck of a decision to make.
I will predict right now that there'll be a lot of teams upset they didn't take Marvin Harrison and they took one of these quarterbacks, because I think there's a bunch of them that are not going to be great at the next level.
Thank you. That's what I say. But somebody with more knowledge.
I totally disagree with that. I think this is the best quarterback class since 1983, but we'll find that out.
Here's the thing with this quarterback class.
Wow.
Yeah, but I disagree, and the reason I do is because look at these quarterbacks.
All right.
Other than the kid at North Carolina, they don't have any size. These are
there's a lot of quarterbacks that didn't have size that were great. Drew Brees, I could go on with that. You don't think that LSU's quarterback, Oregon's quarterback, Washington's I go on and on here, aren't good enough to make in the NFL.
I don't think Michael Penix.
I'm not saying they're not going to make it, but
great.
Other than C.J. Stroud, they're struggling, right, Keith?
Great college quarterbacks. They're all great college quarterbacks, but there's not a lot of them. There's just not a lot of them that translate into the next level.
We will see Bryce Young lover over there. We will see. I already told you about Bryce Young, and you're just giving me the opposite argument now. That's ridiculous. Anyway, so let's get to the next game. Kentucky beats Louisville, and that was what's running the ball.
A great game by Kentucky. Can't throw the football, so it's a good thing they were able to run it, because O'Leary's been terrible throwing the football. So they did a great job. Every time Louisville tried to come back, Kentucky back and scored. And they did this under the cloud of, there were a lot of rumors yesterday that their coach, Mark Stoops, was on his way to Texas A&M, which he now says is not true.
I didn't know that. But speaking of that, the coach from Oregon State, Jonathan Smith, went to Michigan State.
Yeah. So, and who knows how much that hurts teams. I don't know. Hurts or helps them. I don't know. But again, great game by Kentucky yesterday for sure.
Yes, and you would think that they would know they're going to run the ball and would pump up to stop the run, but
Louisville has a lot to play for there. They're in the championship game in the ACC against Florida State. They still had it was a small percentage chance to get into the playoff, but they still had it, and it's certainly blown up now.
Florida beats Florida State 24-14 without their quarterback, who I guess wouldn't be able to make it in the NFL either, Keith. So they lose 12. They win 24-14.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It was Florida State won. That's okay.
We're not saying the quarterbacks are bad, but
stop, Jim. Great. Stop. Jim.
And again, I didn't mention Jordan Travis. Listen, I think Florida State got dropped back below Washington in the poll last week, which probably is irrelevant anyway. If Florida State wins and goes undefeated, they're going to make the playoff.
Yes.
But this was I think it was a big win. Florida hasn't had a great year, but you lose your star, your leader, and they stepped up and they played. It was a very tough game. They fell behind 12-0 in this game.
Do you think Florida's coach is in trouble?
I think Billy Napier will be fired, yeah.
Oh, you do think he'll be fired?
I do. I think he's had 2 bad years. This fan base is not very
they're not very patient. Wow.
And they got a really tough schedule coming up next year. They got one of the hardest schedules in the history of college football next year. I think Billy Napier's out of there. I really do.
in the history of college football. It's even tougher than Notre Dame's schedule in 1929 versus all the military schools. I hate.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. This is okay. So this morning. It's Thanksgiving. Be thankful we're together.
Mac is just like want to be belligerent to everything today, man.
I just love it when people start predicting generational players and
you haven't lost the game yet today, Mac. Settle down. Be angry later. Don't be angry.
He's just mad. He wants Marvin Harris to sink down to the Giants. That's what it is.
That would be good. That would be good. That would be good. And we'll go back and get Bo Nix. Come back up and get Bo Nix. We'll have Marvin Harrison and Bo Nix. Go ahead.
If Marvin Harrison is there, Daniel Jones would love for them to pick him. So they better take Marvin Harrison if he's on the board.
Or the tight end.
I'm looking to come back in the first up to the second round and get Bo Nix. But anyway, Georgia beats Georgia Tech 31-23. A very good game played by Georgia Tech. Keith.
Yes.
Georgia Tech's played much better this year, and especially like even the games they've lost yesterday. I mean, it wasn't a close game, but they fought hard for a lot of this game, and they're going to be better in the ACC next year. That the coach is the guy they hired as the interim when they fired Collins last year. He's done a great job. Even the end of last year, this team's got a lot better.
He really has.
Yeah. I heard they're bringing back the triple option too next year. They
got to hire a Navy. They got to hire a Navy coach for that to happen.
That's true. So we got the game coming up today, where New England goes into MetLife Stadium, which nobody likes playing there anymore, except for I don't know anybody that likes playing there anymore. Soccer teams like playing there, but no football teams do. What are your thoughts on the game today, Keith? What do the Pats got to do to win, and are they going to win?
Yes, I think every week I can rationalize. I can find a way for my team to win. This was a little easier to rationalize. Sorry, Mac, but this could set offensive football back about generations. This game, it's possible. I think they're going to run the. I say this every week. They're going to run the football. They're going to keep, and it looks like Mac Jones is going to start, but who knows? Because Belichick is playing as he's going to hurt himself. It's one thing to be the way he is in press conferences when you're winning Super Bowls and you're in championship games every year, but when you've turned basically into Ray Hanley, you can't act like that. Sorry.
Yeah, but he's got skins on the wall.
He does, but he's got. It's going to hurt him, I think, with other teams if he. In fact, is not going to be here anymore, and he wants to go somewhere else. Yeah, this act doesn't play as well when you're not winning. It really doesn't, and he's been really obstinate this week about the quarterback situation. And
but he really hasn't changed.
No, I'm not saying he has. I'm just saying the act is a lot better when you're winning.
I agree.
They released Will Greer this week. Kind of to Jack's question earlier, and I hope I answered this the way it was asked because I forget things. But I think you talked, and I was asked Friday about whether Kraft had input that Mac Jones needs to play. I think there's a lot of things going on here with the Patriots. There's a relationship that Mac Jones has with the Krafts. We know that. We talked about it. But they also want to be able to possibly, if they decide they got to move on, they want to get something for him. And I think that they want to build his stock up a little better than where it stands right now. And I think that's one of the reasons they want him to play. For Bill Belichick, they're holding on to him for respect. Number one, they aren't moving him during the season, but they want to be able to get a draft pick for him if they decide they want to move on. So the rest of the season, to Jack's point, the rest of the season is very important to the Patriots. You can't go out there and tank. I hate tanking anyway. I'm never rooting for my team to lose, ever. And I think it's important for the Krafts, for Belichick, and for Mac Jones to play well the rest of the year.
You see, I think Robert Kraft is a man of honor. He tries to do the right thing, but he is going to be a very involved owner. People forget the way he stood up to Bill Parcells. He wouldn't let Bill Parcells do what he wanted when he was the Patriot coach. He had an organization, he had a chain in command, and Parcells had to follow it.
Yeah, but real quick, I lived this situation with Coach Landry, who was the greatest coach in Cowboy history, and Jimmy Johnson. I lived it because we were on the down slope, and when the Coach Landry, I mean, he wanted to still coach. He didn't want to be president.
No, you didn't live it, Jim. I'm going to tell you why you didn't exactly live it the same way. Because Kraft and Belichick have been together the whole time. Jerry Jones was a brand new owner. He didn't have the same loyalty towards, Tom Landry.
But he had tremendous respect. He offered him to be president of the Cowboys.
Yeah,
Tom Landry, and I know that personally. He wanted Tom Landry in the organization.
Yep, but I understand what you're saying, and I'm not criticizing Jerry Jones for what he did. But my point is, it was easier for Jerry Jones to move on from Tom Landry. He felt he probably had to because it was a new beginning, new owner, new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, for a couple shows in a row, I absolutely agree with Jack. That's what I was going to add. It's a little bit of different situation, but because of the relationship over 20 plus years. So
yeah, but at some point, especially in coaching, you have to make changes.
Well, he's going to do that. He's just not going to do it during the year.
And that's out of respect.
Well, partly respect, also part of selfishness too, because they want a draft pick if they can get it, right? So
But Kraft won't hold up the deal. If Belichick has a chance to go, let's say, to the Chargers, he won't hold up the deal to the point where it's going to fall through. He'll get it done for Belichick one way or the other.
He'll get something, though, is my point. Yes.
That all depends. That all depends if Belichick. That all depends whether Belichick really wants to go to the Chargers or not. I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Or anywhere.
It's
anywhere.
It's a big move. It's a big move, and it's a big move, Keith. You're picking up and you're moving to the West.
Belichick, and we'll move on.
Okay. So, Keith, let's go with everybody's surprised you're agreeing with Jack. I still don't agree with anything Jack says. So
like 3 shows in a row. I'm Keith, worried about my own well-being.
Let's get to your picks and your underdog. Who you got for your 3 favorites, buddy?
Jacksonville. The Eagles.
Okay. All right.
And I'll take the Vikings.
Ooh.
Yeah, Minnesota.
He's just kissing Rick's butt because he's a big Viking fan. He's trying to get a little support here.
He's a Perthite. There's not a lot of us. We graduated with very small classes up there in Perth. So, and I will take the Bengals with my underdog pick.
All right.
The Bengals?
Keith has spoken, and just to let you all know out there, there's like 4 of us within a 2 games or 1 game of each other. It's really getting tight. There's not 5 of us that close, but we'll discuss that later. Excalibur, Iron Force, thank you. You have a blessed Sunday. Also, Keith, you have a blessed Sunday.
I will do
Keith Daigle from TGI Sports. Check him out. He'll be doing his.
All right, Keith, you have a good Sunday.
Enjoy the games, guys.
All right, buddy.
Thank you. So there you go. Keith telling us that they're looking for draft picks. It'd be interesting to see who the new head coach will be over there. They've got people on the staff that have been waiting their turn, and rumors has it they're going to go outside the Patriots organization to get a head coach. I've heard maybe the former linebacker or head coach.
Gerald
right now.
Mayo.
Thank you. No. I mean outside. Who was the linebacker number 50? I got a brain freeze right now. That used to play for the Patriots.
The one that's at Tennessee.
Yes,
there's so many moving parts, guys, when we talk about a coaching change. Even though I mentioned Belichick with the Chargers, because to me that would be the best fit. Chances are, if he did move on, it would be to a team like the Commanders. And what would happen to an Eric Bieniemy? Chances are Belichick would bring in his own people. Bieniemy would have to go elsewhere. Would Bieniemy even get a coordinator's job anywhere else in the NFL? You kind of wonder.
Bieniemy's actually done a nice job. I think he would.
So Sam Howell hasn't conclusively developed.
That's offensive line. That's more offensive line.
I don't think Belichick goes to a team where he has to rebuild again. I think he wants to go to I think he wants to go winning team.
That has a quarterback.
The question is, will he go all the way across to the West Coast?
Rumor says he likes California.
All right. Well, maybe he does.
He's a defensive coach. You have Mack and Boza on your defense. That's mouth-watering.
You won't have both of them because of the injuries. Whoever, they're going to have to look at that because Boza's injured again.
Well, he'll be on the roster, and you hope he's healthy.
Well, like I said, I think they got a lot of talent in San Diego that's not being used right now, and maybe Belichick will do that. So coming up right now, we have
franchise quarterback.
Let's bring in Robert Butler. No theme music for you today, Robert. You messed up my fantasy game. I'm just kidding.
I hear you.
I'm just kidding. I didn't have it ready for you. It's my fault. Good morning, Robert from Sportscope with the biggest news in the NFL. So, Robert, your quick thoughts on the whole from Thanksgiving through Saturday. Some incredible games, especially in college, Robert.
Yeah, a lot of big games there. Let's see, what was the best game? I don't know. Thanksgiving Day, kind of a tight squeeze there. Probably the Detroit Green Bay game, and then Friday. It was a decent game there, at Amazon game. But these college games were really good. Yeah. Ohio State. Yeah. Auburn. Geez. Mm-hmm. The last 4 or 5 times they played down in Auburn, it's either been overtime or one play game. That game's played in Alabama. Alabama usually would beat a team like that 30-7 or 41-10. But you put the same players in Auburn, and it's just
it's a heck of a rivalry. I'll tell you that Iron Bowl has been that way for a long, long time. And anything anything did happen in that game. Everything happened in that game from fumbles to missed snaps to catching the ball, the interceptions. I mean, everything that could have happened. Pick six at the end that didn't count for some reason. Maybe he stepped out of bounds. I'm not sure why it didn't count. But anyway, everything happened in that game. Scrolls into that 60-minute game. It was very exciting. So let's get to some of the big stories. We discussed this on a debate show. I know Jack doesn't like talking about it. The Joe Namath lawsuit, whether you like it or not, is a big story right now. What are your thoughts on that, Robert, on the lawsuit itself and what Namath should probably do?
I maybe discuss settling. I don't know. It sounds very Jerry Sandusky like. I was thinking about that when he sent it to me. I thought, something. I don't have kids. I'm gonna get a few more years on that, and then maybe just give up on that. But I don't know if I'll send my kids any camps with this stuff we hear. No stayover days. I mean, if you want to drop them off and go to the football thing, at the end of the day, you pick them back up and you drop them back off. Do it that way. But yeah, it's a pretty creepy story there. It's I don't know if it's as bad as the Paterno Jerry Sandusky thing, but that's my thoughts on it in a nutshell.
Okay, all right. Dolly Parton halftime show, and I don't know if Jim Jeffcoat saw that or not.
I saw it.
But Dolly
Parton, 77 years old in a cheerleader seat.
Hey, listen, showing up in the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader outfit was very interesting. I'm not a big Dolly Parton music fan. I don't think she has the greatest voice in the world. But as Jim said, 77 years old.
Man, he's even giving Dolly Parton a dig. Mac always likes to put in these subtle comments, and then he moves on quick, and
drive-by media there.
Going after putting down Dolly Parton.
Come on, Mac. Hey, Robert, be careful.
She's got a great voice.
He's talking.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Yeah, she's not bad. I mean, not a lot of movement in her dancing at 77, but I guess the bigger news, she's still alive and well.
That's right.
And I hope I look like that at 77. Not exactly like Dolly Parton, but, look good,
No, I was going to say, Robert, I mean, that's a whole thing we don't even want to discuss. We're not going to talk about gender changes on this show. That's where I draw the line. Okay.
Line in the sand. Line in the sand.
I told you, Robert, you came in hot today.
Man, I got to put my belt on, man.
He ripped their head off.
Wow.
Robert, NFL players do not like playing in MetLife Stadium at all. I mean, what did you see in that story?
Yeah. I said there's some turf issues there. I also read that article. It's by The Athletic that this is the players' survey. The players find the Dallas and the Eagle fans to be the most annoying. So
why did you have to say Dallas? It was the Eagles.
It said Dallas and Eagles in the article, but I'm with you. It probably is the Eagles. Of course, we love Jamie, of course, but that's always been the surveys I've read in the past and from the Eagles. But the players, according to this article, says Dallas, probably because they're just so widespread. The Dallas fans are everywhere, man.
Yeah,
Dallas and Pittsburgh, they're just You could be in Antarctica and find a Pittsburgh fan.
I am very annoyed about Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas fans all the time. So that's
I think the Cowboys are the hottest ticket of all NFL teams. I'm going to tell you why. Because last year when I was in Miami, I got tickets. I took my son-in-law to a Dolphin-Packer game. And I was checking out the tickets for the Cowboys and the Dolphins this year. No way. It's off the charts how expensive, they are.
Yeah.
I tell you, when I was there, it was like a rock. We were a rock band because people would be crowd. We couldn't even go in the lobby. We had to sneak around.
Man,
I don't know if it's like that anymore.
Well, the most vibrant brand in all sports, according to Forbes, the whole world.
Them or the Yankees, one or the other. I've read that. Black Friday, the Black Friday game, with the Jets, that was not on cable TV. It wasn't on regular TV, Robert.
Yeah, but you could have streamed it for free. And some of the older audiences, my dad's audience they really didn't want to fool with that. But remember, Amazon had the Thursday night ticket, and they didn't want to slide it in between those other three games. So they figured, well, we'll just put one on. The concept was good. I'm sure the ratings were pretty decent there, putting it on Black Friday like that. It's a standalone NFL game. Now, there was some other college games on that day.
I don't understand this. It was advertised that the game would only be shown on Prime. And I have Prime, so I thought I'd have to watch it on my, laptop, iPad. But it was on Fox. It wasn't only on Prime. It was on actually television. You could watch it. Yeah.
Oh, because are you still in New York, Jack?
New York, yeah.
Yeah, the Titans on the Amazon games are shown on TV here in Nashville too on Thursday.
I didn't know.
Because it's a local market thing. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So Jack, there you go. Jack got to watch it on his regular TV.
Well, I didn't watch the whole game. I couldn't take it anymore. I went out to the pizzeria and I took my time. After that interception, got returned 99 yards. I put it in order at the Italian pizzeria. For the family thing, my daughter came over. And the food wasn't ready immediately, and the TV was on in the pizzeria place. I wasn't even watching the beginning of the third quarter. I had it at the half. I was done.
Yeah. I would have been too, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. Robert, is that next to the fumble by the Giants? Is that one of the most embarrassing plays in the history of the NFL?
Well, I read that the Next Generation stats said that was 124 yards total ran by this safety in that pick six. Technically 99 yards of play. But if you count running around everywhere else and the angles, 124-yard touchdown pick six kind of broke their spirit a little bit, to say the least. The Jacks of the world. And I'm like that with the Titans. If they get down early to Jacksonville like that, but 3 scores with this line, I'll go to red zone or something,
Well, what gets me too, we heard the commentators say, well, once the ball was intercepted, the receivers were in the end zone. Those are your speed guys, so they can't track down the player who intercepted the ball. Nonsense. sprint all out from the end zone, like you witnessed it, Jim, on your tackle with Don Beebe. Never gave up. Sprint all out. While the guy who intercepts the pass is zigging and zagging, you have a little time to catch up to him, but they kind of gave up on the play.
Yeah,
I agree.
backbreaker.
I mean, if you saw that Metcalf one, right, when they intercepted the ball, the Metcalf
What I was thinking
chased
too.
him down.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and I agree with Jack. I mean, listen, you know, you don't depend on anybody else to make a tackle when you're playing. You know, when you're playing on defense, whether you're offense or not. I mean, you don't depend on anybody to make that tackle. You go get them, and to me, I would have yelled at all those wide receivers. I would have been going crazy on the bench at those guys because
it's
Jack
react.
said,
As soon as it's intercepted, you got to react. Maybe they thought psychologically he's not going to return it down the field. It's intercepted, half's over, but they gave up on the play.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Salah is losing control of that team?
You asking me or Jack?
Both, everybody on the panel.
Yeah. I get a sense that the defense, they're tired of just playing to a certain level where they have to almost like not make any mistakes because the offense is so bad. I think there is some checkout, tapping out mentality there over the last few weeks versus the first 4 weeks, if you think about it. Other than the Dallas game, they played hard the first 6-8 weeks. But, you know, if you got an offense that bad, the defense is like, man, we just can't keep pitching shutouts here, you know?
Jim, you're a fan now, but you want an elite defensive unit. If you start losing motivation as a fan, that probably mirrors what's going on with the defensive unit when it's a hopeless situation.
What happened? The reason I asked that question is when we were 1-15, we played the New York Giants, and our offense only had 24 plays in a total game. Mm-hmm. The Giants had over 90 plays, and that was they beat. Obviously, they killed us. Otis Anderson. I mean, it was one of those days that we were worn out.
It's different, Jim. Everyone knew, no offense, you had a lousy team at the time. It's different from the Jets had high hopes, so this makes it worse.
Yeah, but, I mean, obviously the injury to Aaron Rodgers hurt him.
Yeah.
But you took a lot out of it. It took a lot out of him. And Rodgers, who knows what would have happened. Maybe they would have been great. Maybe they wouldn't have. But, I mean, Zach Wilson hasn't been very good. They put Boyle in, and that didn't work out. I mean,
fans were calling for Zach Wilson on social media. They want him back now.
We could do the whole show on the Jets, but I want to get back to real football.
I'm sorry about that.
So let's talk a little bit about Jack Del Rio. Jim talked about it earlier. Maybe it was before the show. I forget, but he says he wasn't a very good guy, that he fired some of his best friends when he was coaching. I don't blame Del Rio for the offensive woes on Washington right now. I just think they're going to clean house, and this is the first step, Robert.
Yeah, it usually starts with the coordinators. Same thing with Buffalo, but with Ken Dorsey being fired. Yeah, they were 30th in passing. They 28 touchdown passes. That's the most in the NFL given up by that Washington secondary. Just not sure Ron Rivera survives this. Almost for certain that they're going to go ahead and bring another coach in it. And maybe Eric Bieniemy is one of the first guys that they interviewed, since the offense is playing good in times. Sam Howell will probably get another year.
But, Robert, do you think the problem with the NFL now, the only ones that can afford teams are venture capitalists, and they want to see results right now. They want to see them today, not yesterday, not tomorrow. Yeah. They want to see them at this moment. And these venture capitalists are the only ones that can afford these teams. It's happening in every sport.
We talk about
Rob, wait. You've been listening to Jeffcoat, Rob. Is Sam Howell really playing well? Come on. Is he really playing well?
He didn't. Dallas Cowboy defense at home, they're playing amazing this year. I mean, they're playing lights out. I think they set a record, didn't they, Jim, for most interceptions for a touchdown or something like that?
Yeah, Deron Bland did at He has 5 interceptions for touchdowns.
Yeah, and I was high on him too. I wasn't drinking. I don't drink any Kool-Aid. I mean, that's too much sugar for me. Yeah. I don't drink any Kool-Aid.
Don't hate because they're the Cowboys and you're the Jets.
But no, I think Kyle has played well. His numbers are good, Jack.
Yeah, I did too.
I read a stat the
he
other
hasn't shown himself to be the franchise quarterback. You move forward with Sam Howell, you might be wasting another year after this year.
Wow.
I mean, if you got numbers like that, you gotta he's on a rookie contract. He's cheap.
Yeah. I think he's got a better chance than a Pickett or quarterbacks like that they're gonna have to make decisions out of Pittsburgh and stuff. Like I think he's better than that. He's a tough guy. He's a tough kid. He runs with the ball. He ain't scared of contact. He's got a good arm. I think he's got a chance. It all depends on who they bring in as the head coach. If they keep the enemy, I know they're going to keep Howell there. I listen. I'm not going to put Howell away right now for the way that team is playing. There's no way I would do that. I wouldn't do that. Even with the Giants, had 6 picks against them. I'm still not going to give up on Howell. I'm going to give him another full year to see what he's got. I would definitely do that. It would be sad to see him go somewhere else and become a great quarterback, or at least a very good quarterback when you had him you had him on your team. Robert, let's talk a little bit about the top team. All the top teams have flaws, right? I mean, San Francisco, for example, wide receivers. Some teams can't play from behind. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even the Eagles, you look at their secondary. I mean, they're like 28th in yards allowed.
Wow.
They give up a lot, But I mean, obviously they've only got 1 loss for the season. 49ers, they're an often injured team. You're holding your breath. Is Trent Williams going to play this week? Is Deebo Samuel with his running style? Christian McCaffrey, he has injury history going back to the Carolina Panthers. Now he's having a really good year, 2 touchdowns the other day. But you look at the Kansas City Chiefs. There's just no chemistry or lack thereof it with Mahomes and those receivers there. Maybe Rice will develop with him at some point, but they kind of cut some corners. I talked about this on my show with those 2 new offensive linemen there, the tackles, the right and the left tackle, particularly the right tackle. They've really had some problems out of that side there, but their defense does look as good as it's looked in years. They're 4th in total yards. Yeah, everybody has problems at this point. There's no ideal team out there.
Let me ask you this question, Robert, and I understand the question to Mark, but who's going to beat Kansas City? The only one that probably has any kind of chance is Miami. When you think in the AFC,
in the AFC,
the same thing. Even if Philly loses, they're so far ahead. It's going to be hard to catch them.
Yeah. This is a sandwich game today. I think Philly will win today because they come off a bye week. They're somewhat still fresh, and it's at home. But they got the 49ers next week. They come off that big emotional game against Kansas City. That could happen. As far as Kansas City, well, look at they haven't scored a touchdown in the second half, guys, in 3 straight games.
Yeah.
Well, Jim mentioned Miami.
Miami
Baltimore
could
be
possibly
Kansas
beat them.
City right now.
Oh yeah, Baltimore.
Yeah.
Baltimore's got what it takes. So could the Buffalo Bills. So could the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, those are just a few teams.
I don't think Jacksonville.
They could. I mean, their team is talented enough, Jim. So I mean,
they're up and down.
Yeah,
they're 8-3.
Yeah, but right? I just don't think they could.
Well, we're not going to.
City go there and destroy them.
Yeah, they earlier in the season they beat them. Yeah, Baltimore could definitely beat a team with a good running game, discipline. Can definitely beat the Chiefs there. Those young players those corners are really paying off for Kansas City.
We're judging the Chiefs a lot on their reputation, guys. 2-time Super Bowl champions. Recent years. If you ignore the reputation, they've struggled a bit. They really don't have any receivers. Mahomes has no go-to guys outside of Kelsey, who indications are he's hurt. He's not up to par. So Kansas City could be beat on a given day by any of these teams, like a Steeler team, a Cleveland Brown team. On a given day in the beginning of the playoffs, the Chiefs could get upset.
What if Denver gets in there? They've already beat the Chiefs.
No, let's stop overhyping Denver.
Hey, they beat them. You are what your record says you are.
That's true.
Bill Parcells.
Detroit beat Kansas City the first game too, and look what's happened to them.
If the Chiefs are to win the Super Bowl, it's going to be because of their defense, believe it or not. Their defense has stepped up this year.
Yeah.
We keep looking at Patrick Mahomes, but it's the Chiefs defense that's going to have to get it done for them.
Yeah.
Talking about Baltimore, how is the loss of Andrews going to hurt? Mark Andrews hurt that Baltimore team and of course Jackson.
Well, normally quarterbacks go to who they trust the most on the road. I want to say they're playing at the LA Chargers. It's either tonight or tomorrow night in a primetime game. The Chargers have more than a good enough chance on paper to beat them. The Chargers, with that coach, if things can go wrong, it probably will go wrong. The power go out, something crazy. Staley's is bad luck. That's when we'll find out how reliable Lamar is on his other receivers there. But when you're in trouble, you want to go to your go-to guy, and that is definitely Mark Andrews, just like it was Travis Kelce there with Kansas City. It's a big blow there.
I agree with that. I was going to ask you a Jets question, but we'll go into the next hour, so we're going to forget about the Hackett question.
I had some notes on that Jets question, Mac.
All right. Go ahead, Robert. Jack, calm down, please. Go ahead.
I know I'm going to get Jack hyped up here, but the truth of the matter is this whole Aaron Rodgers thing has really blown up in their face. I mean, you look at Hackett, you look at Alan Lazard was a healthy scratch the other day, guys.
Yes.
I mean, where is Randall Cobb at? Look at all this money that they have used on this. I mean, Rodgers is 39 years old. They're going to have to get left tackle right, and they're going to have to draft another quarterback. Zach Wilson's a miss. He's a $5 million hit next year. At some point, you got to start thinking about the near future. I mean, how long is Rodgers going to play when he comes back? Maybe a year. So
he intends to play a few years, so he doesn't have a timetable. But coming off 2 years in a row, injured this year, the year before, he had a so-so year. Reportedly, he had a thumb injury then. We don't know what version, Rob, of Aaron Rodgers we're going to get when he comes back. I mean, let's assume he'll be a better than average quarterback. It still won't be the Aaron Rodgers we knew.
Yeah, you just got to wonder if you blow this thing up again. Joe Douglas missed on Micaiah Becton. Dwayne Brown is 38. He's hurt all the time. My guess is that first-round pick, go all in to get a left tackle and find another way to acquire a quarterback, but they don't have a second-round pick. So maybe do you trade some of these defensive pieces and help you there?
I don't.
You need a number 2 receiver. All they have is Garrett Wilson.
Yeah,
I would not think that you would want to break up that defense. I wouldn't want to break up that defensive unit. That's the only thing they got right now. So Robert, why don't you give us your fantasy team and we'll see if we can get a winner here. Jim, take notes.
Hey, last year's team won a few dollars. Last week's team won a few dollars there. Chad says, "Where's Dalvin Cook?" I saw him on the back of a milk carton the other day. That's the last time I seen him. He's on a Purity milk carton. So go figure. No, I'm kidding. So I got Trevor Lawrence again against Houston. That's gonna be a great game, by the way. Houston's 26 versus the pass. Jimmy Ward's out, safety there. Got some other injuries on the linebacker there for Houston. I think they get back at them. Zach Moss off of a bye week. He's the running back out of Indianapolis against Tampa. Ramon Stevenson, New England running back, also coming off. I love running backs off buys, especially late in the season, guys. They're like shot out of a cannon. Cooper Kupp, Arizona's secondary is a shell of what it used to be. I think Kupp will score today. Have a big game there for the Rams. Christian Kirk, he's going to hook up with Lawrence there at wide receiver. Adam Thielen, Titans really need to win today, but I do think Adam Thielen, the wide receiver from Carolina, will have a really good game. Dalton Kincaid, I expect a big game out of him against Philadelphia. They're 23rd against the tight end. And Jerry Jeudy from Denver, Cleveland's lead corner, Denzel Ward, will not be playing today. So Denver's got a good shot to play to beat Cleveland. And I think Jerry Jeudy will have a very good matchup. And the Chiefs' defense against a rookie, we just talked about the defense, going against the Raiders there and O'Connell. I think they're going to have a really good day there on defense and bounce back big, even on the road.
All right, Robert. Thank you for your input on your fantasy teams. Guys, listen to Robert. He's on Sports Scope, Twitter, Facebook. He's on our Roku channel, handling all the big stories, making his picks when he's not on. And I pay attention to those too, Robert. And to let you know, I don't follow your picks at all. I picked something opposite. I don't know if that helps or not.
Hey, they're hitting this. Nobody bats
yes, they are. That is the truth. That is the truth. So, Robert Butler, thank you for Sports Scope. Have a great day, Robert. Glad to have you.
Have a good show, guys.
All right.
Take care, Rob.
See you, Robert.
Well, so, folks, last week we had this young lady on who came in and kind of wowed Jim with her picks, and Jack liked her, and she kind of picked against me. So, but I figured I'd give her another try and bring her on here to see how she's doing. Here's Sonia Pearson from All Things Football from a lady's perspective. Let's welcome her in, guys.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Sonia.
Good morning, Sonia. How you doing today?
Hi, thank you so much for having me on again. I'm doing well. I'm doing wonderful. Sorry I picked against you, Mac, but looks like I was wrong.
Thank you. Yes. Do not follow.
You're not in Pac's place, are you? I see the piano in the back.
Well, Pags might be in today. We'll see what happens. I think he'll be in. I don't know if he's going anywhere today or not. Buffalo.
Well, Buffalo, they play in Philly today.
They're playing in Philly, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's see who you guys got. Carolina is playing. Who's Carolina playing? Let's see. Tennessee in Tennessee. What are your thoughts on that game before we get to the picks, Sonia? Did you hear me, Sonia?
Oh,
yeah, we hear you.
Yeah.
I thought you were asking someone else. That's why I was like, okay. And you guys, I was not going to pick that game. Let's be honest. That is not one of the teams I even want to think about picking because, of course, that's my team. However, I really think that we can get it done on the road. Bryce looked a little bit better, except for those interceptions over the last few games. Derrick Henry is not the person that he once was. The point spread is definitely working against us. However, it's a low point spread. So I really feel like Carolina does have the opportunity to at least get win number 2 on the road today. I'm going definitely for my boys and Panthers.
Sonia, you have to understand, Jim and myself are high on Bryce Young. Mac hates Bryce Young with a passion.
I don't
He feels
hate
he's
him.
a total
I don't hate him.
Not personally, as a quarterback. You think he's a bust.
Yes, I do. I don't think it's entirely his fault. I don't think it's entirely his fault. I think it's because of the system he is and the team he's on and the owner he plays for. And I think that I think I said this last week. I think the kid could get hurt with that terrible offensive line.
Will be fine when he gets
I know
more
you do.
personnel around him.
Yes. So anyway, so that's Jim's opinion, and we'll debate that probably into next year. So guys, we haven't done our picks yet. So let's do some of our picks. I'll give you mine first, and our producer Linda. I like New Orleans, not the underdog yet because we got a whole thing for that. But New Orleans -1 at Atlanta. I like New Orleans to beat Atlanta today. I like Jacksonville, believe it or not, over Houston in Houston. Houston won the first game. I think Jacksonville comes back and wins this one. I like KC, even with the points against the Raiders. The Raiders are just not talented as Kansas City, I don't feel anyway. Linda also, she picked Minnesota -3.5. She's rolling with KC and New Orleans. Also, she went against me. She thinks Houston will cover and probably beat the Jaguars. So, Jack, who do you got?
Yeah, I like the Jags as well over Houston. It's a showdown game for the division lead, and I think the Jags are just a little better. Houston's a Cinderella story so far, but it's probably going to come to a halt at some point. I like the Eagles over the Bills, giving like the 3.5 points or so. What concerns me about the Eagles, they've had two big games in a row, emotional games with the Chiefs and the Cowboys. They do for letdown against the Bills, who have a good defense. But the Eagles are a better team, should get it done at home. And I like the Steelers against the Bengals. New offensive coordinator. They're fighting in the locker room, supposedly. As Jim could tell you, that could wake a team up as well. You know, you think it could hurt a team, but it could wake them up. And the Bengals without Joe Burrow, I think their season basically is collapsed on them now. And Steelers, I think, pull that game out.
All right. So Jack got Jacksonville, Philly, and Pittsburgh. Who do you got, Jim?
I got New Orleans over Atlanta. That's an interesting division because there's not really any great team in it. I have, this is going to shock you. I'm going to have, well, I'll save that one. I have the Giants over New England, but it really is, I can't do that. Underdog. I'll save that one. Denver over Cleveland. At Denver over, and then I have Kansas City over the Raiders. That's my 3.
All right. Sonia, who's your 3 favorites? Picks.
So I have the Tampa Bay versus Indianapolis game. I basically have that Tampa Bay is riddled with injuries right now. I got Gardner Minshew looks really, really good right now. Rashad White is questionable. He may or may not play. We're not sure about that. He's had injury. They're having injuries throughout the entire defense of that team. And I just don't trust Baker Mayfield on the road. He's kind of up and down if you think about it. He is from the NFC South, which we've already heard. That's a very questionable division. And Tampa has lost 3 straight road games. This is another road game, and I just don't think they can get it done. The most productivity will definitely probably come from Mike Evans and that crew of people that's down there. But Indy in the end will definitely be the ones that get it done against a struggling road team in Tampa Bay. That's my first one. The next game I have is the Rams versus the Cardinals. Now, Vegas does have that the Rams are the 3-point favorite in this game, but I'm thinking that Kyler Murray has had a lot of good moments. You know, everybody's kind of rah-rah, welcome back to Kyler. However, when it comes to the Rams versus the Cardinals, they haven't looked as good, especially with Kyler. He's 1-7 against them in their last meetings. So with that being said, and looking at how the Rams looked against Seahawks recently, I'm thinking that the Rams are going to get that one done. I also have the Kansas City Las Vegas game. Everybody kind of got them like on the high road already because of Patrick Mahomes and how that offense is looking across the board. But if you look at the trajectory that Vegas has, the money that started out opening on the bets has actually gone down slightly. And that would just mean that basically it's going to be easier for people to kind of come up to meet that goal as far as Kansas City winning this game outright. And if you think about the lower point spread, that's importantly, we don't know if we can trust Jimmy G. He's been up and down no matter what team that he was with, as well as the Chiefs have the 8th overall offense. And so I'm definitely going with the Chiefs on this one. My underdog.
Wait a second, Sonia. Don't do that yet.
No, not yet.
I won't. I think that's all I got. Sorry, guys.
So, now we can get ready for it.
The greatest theme song for any cartoon in the history of cartoons. The Underdog, of course, is our song for our underdog picks. I give you mine first. My underdog is Cleveland getting 2.5. I think the Cleveland Browns defense will come through this game, and they'll be they might even win this game.
Now,
Linda, as I said, has. I don't care where it's at. I think
and it's
Cleveland will
weather.
beat
It's
them in the
been
street
weather
right
in
now.
Denver. It's been snow.
I know I got Myles Garrett in that Cleveland defense. I'll take them any day of the week against the Denver offense.
And like Sonya said,
Linda has Houston. That's true. That's true. But is Garrett playing today?
Yes, he is.
That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. Houston getting
I'm
1.5.
No, you need
all
help.
right. And I appreciate your help, Jim. So, all right, Jack. Who's your underdog pick for today?
Yeah, I'll take the dysfunctional group, the LA Chargers. I mean, all that ability and being 4-6. They 4.5-point underdogs. They're home. Ravens are going to feel the loss of Andrews at tight end as the year goes along because he's more valuable to Lamar Jackson than any of Lamar Jackson's receivers. And he's a good blocker as well. And it's going to change things up a bit for the Ravens. I mean, and Brandon Staley's going on a rant, yelling at the media. He's going to continue to call the plays on defense and on and on and on. So it's kind of the turmoil with the Chargers. I think at times it's going to work in their favor, and this is going to be one of them today.
All right. To be acid hands with Staley, I don't touch it. Jim, who's your underdog?
My underdog are the New York Football Giants to beat New England at MetLife. Okay. 3.5 was the opening, but I think the Giants are going to win this game.
I think you might be right.
I think the Patriots have more problems than the Giants do.
Jim, I agree with you. Jim.
She's good.
Jim, the Patriots do have more problems than the Giants with Mac Jones is dreadful.
Yes.
But isn't Bill Belichick a master at handling an inexperienced quarterback like Tommy DeVito?
He's going to give him looks, but I think the Giants are going to do it. Saquon Barkley's got some rest. And Saquon, we know that he makes the Giants go. And I think, and then Hyatt actually is getting, Jalen Hyatt is getting better. They missed the tight end, but I think they're going to win.
I'll be honest with you. I think Jalen Hyatt has been a lot of hype this year. I haven't seen him on the field hardly at all. And when he does,
but he's gotten better as the season progresses. It's hard for rookies to come in unless, you're the upper.
Maybe next year. Maybe he'll do something next year. He's kind of checked out. I mean, they don't use him enough. And when they do use him, the quarterback can't throw the ball to him because he's too fast.
What they did to Washington was pretty impressive. The Giants.
I agree. Sonia, who's your underdog pick?
Thank you. So I agree with you, Mac. I've got Cleveland versus Denver game. Cleveland on the road with Vegas gave Denver the 1.5 favorites coming into this game. But Cleveland has the number one defense. And the adage is defense wins championships. Excuse me. So
they're playing in Denver. Be careful.
They are playing at Denver. And I know that Russ has looked a lot better than he has over the last few games. And typically I do kind of go with them. But I just think that DTR did not lose last week's game, even though he came in for Deshaun. He looked really good. Now, he didn't win it. Let's be clear. However, he didn't lose that game as well. And he had 24 completions out of 43 attempts. He had 165 yards, which was impressive for his appearance in this game, and only one interception, which if you compare that to other quarterbacks, especially like mine, that's impressive. And he won against Mike Tomlin's Steelers, and that's a pretty hard feat, even though the Steelers have been up and down. Mike Tomlin is a vet at this, and the Steelers find ways over and over again to get it done. I feel like even though they have mistakes and stuff throughout, that the Browns are definitely going to be the underdog in this spread. And I think that they're going to be keeping Dangerous a little more docile going in.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's going to be an interesting game because the way I look at it is you got an experienced quarterback in Russell Wilson. The defense is playing better, and Cleveland has to go to Denver, which is not. And Denver's defense after that 70-point game has really stepped up.
I agree.
And so has the Cleveland running game over the past two games.
That
too.
is true. That is true.
And I think they'll run the ball pretty well against the Denver Broncos.
I think
so
Miles can have a good game today.
I think so too. I agree with that too. Myles Garrett is definitely to me the defensive player of the year so far. So
yeah, I got to commend Sean Payton because I worked with him before, and he's doing a tremendous. Everybody was putting him for dead, and he's got Denver back.
Yes, he does. And folks, just when you think it's safe to come outside, the Philly sports guy comes in. How you doing today, Pags? Yeah, he's not going to talk to me. He must have heard what we said about the Eagles before he came in. I'm not sure.
I didn't hear anything.
You got his Pags.
Just now. Just Good morning.
All right, so Pags is all painted up and ready to go to Buffalo. I know that's where he's going to be heading here shortly.
I know we're home.
Pags, we're
home.
How come I keep saying they're going to Buffalo, Jim? I don't know why it is. Jim
him
must have
on me.
said that earlier. All right, okay.
No, I did not. I said they were in Philly.
Okay, all right. So Pags, we're getting ready to go over our the games in a whole. You want to give me your three favorite picks and your underdog before we get going?
I like the Titans. I like, dare I say, the Giants.
Oh,
and
Giants are underdogs, Pags. That would have to be
all right,
underdog.
all right, then let's go with the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs with the 9.5. And I like the Steelers today also over the Bengals.
okay. And who's your underdog pick, Pags? Is that the Giants or no?
Dare I say the Giants? And how about that
Oh,
over-under?
there we
That is
go.
the lowest over-under I have ever seen. I've never seen an over-under at 33.
They saw the Jets game.
34.5. Yeah, that's his.
They saw the Jets game, and yes.
I have it at
The
33
Jets Giants
and a half.
game was pretty low too, Pags. Yeah.
You got
Well,
it
I mean,
33.
between the both of them, they don't
Well,
score.
maybe-
They don't even score 33 points.
That is true. And maybe next year we'll do the over and under just to really mess Jim up along with our picks, and that would be it.
And
Oh,
I
man.
know that
So-
I'm not here every week. I think I'm missing a couple of weeks, but I think I've got the best record between everybody here. by the way.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Wait,
Here
I'm
we
in,
You can't
I'm in
count
first
that.
place. I don't want to hear what
You're in
you've
first
done
place
on the
because they're not counting me.
What
Because
you've done in
I'm not
practice.
here every week.
That's like having you the most practice catches. I mean, come on. It doesn't count.
It's only because I'm
That's
not
just
here
for the
every week.
record.
Sometimes I'm busy.
Well, you should do what
Wait,
Jack
wait,
does.
this
Jack
is
will,
the game.
will
Wait,
text me his
I don't
picks.
understand. Wait. The game is 4:30 today, Pags. Why are you in uniform now? That's what I don't understand.
Well, because to be the Philly sports guy is difficult work. And especially with everything that happened this week, I am slated to be at like 5 different tailgates today, along with the fact that I still got to do all of my ads and commercials.
So there you go, Jack.
So I have to start early.
All right. So let's get on to games. We got another guest coming in at 9:30. Hopefully Mo Better comes in too. We're going to talk to him about if the NFL has gotten worse, and it's the easy question, but I just want to hear his thoughts. So let's get into these picks. So Atlanta, New Orleans is going to Atlanta. Does anybody here think that the Atlanta Falcons can win this game?
Of course they can. It's only a
will they?
-2.
Will they?
I don't think they will.
All right.
I beg to differ. Excuse me. So I'm just going to say, because I'm here in Atlanta, definitely, this is my home city now, even though I'm from North Carolina originally. I just think there's a lot of hype around Atlanta right now. Now, there has been a quarterback carousel down here with Ritter and Heineke, and Heineke is actually questionable today. We may or may not see him. He's supposed to be on IR, but I think he was limited in practice. And you just never know what Arthur Smith's going to pull out the bag once it comes game time. Desmond Ritter has been up and down the entire season. This is a huge rivalry in the South, like the biggest that we have in our division, and one of the more popular rivalries in the sport itself. And this is also they're acknowledging the 50th anniversary of hip hop and rap. And so there's going to be a lot of players that are there, former players. It's going to be a huge production in Atlanta today at Mercedes-Benz. A lot of rappers and performers are staged to be there. And so the hype around Atlanta as a whole, I feel, will be enough, because sometimes people can ride this emotional wave to eke out a win, even if it's just by a field goal. Now, I see some of you shaking your head, but I'm letting you know I've seen it happen before.
I have to agree with Pax. Sorry, I have to agree with Pax. That's like saying Dolly Parton inspired the Cowboys to play so well.
I know.
Well, and you know what? Doesn't it seem like every time that there is a team that honors somebody or has some type of thing that happens, that team usually loses. I want to bet, like, if you have,
they had a while back, I would like to when I was there, and they have beat New Orleans before with a similar situation, not the big production that they're expecting today. But I have been actually at one of those games that it did come down to the wire like that. So at a minimum, I don't think they will get blown out. And let's be honest, New Orleans has not looked as good as they first started out. There's a fight for that top 3 position.
But B. John Robinson, it looks like they're not even.
Yeah.
B. John is what now?
Well, I guess what Sonia is saying is that Ritter's going to bust the mood today. Is that what you're saying? Is that what your pick is based off?
I mean, he's going to at least maybe step on a bubble. He will make his own touchdowns from here and there. But B. John. Are you guys saying Bijan is not playing? Because
I'm saying he is not. They thought he was going to be a bigger part of their offense, and he hasn't been.
Right.
Wait.
Started out that way, and I actually have him on my fantasy. He's kind of fizzed out a couple of games, but I'm really thinking that maybe, like I said today, I mean, we could definitely all reconvene next week and be like, yeah, okay, so we saw it. That the hypeness around everything down here is real. And so I feel like for no other reason that today Bijan should definitely have a big game, but more importantly, Ritter should be more consistent in his passes and less likely to turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm. What is the word on Desmond Ritter? Is he the franchise quarterback moving forward? Because there are a lot of question marks. So the Falcons in the market for quarterback in the offseason if this trend continues the rest of the year.
So he's definitely not the franchise quarterback. You all know last year it was an entire fiasco with Marcus Mariota, up to the point that basically Marcus supposedly was going out to have some surgery that the team knew nothing about. It was an entire disaster, and it was all because he had been benched prior, and he didn't come back. And so they actually moved Ritter in to fill that position. But it's no doubt that they pulled Heineke from Washington. They still are definitely going to be looking for a quarterback. In fact, they were also looking for a wide receiver as well. However, the talks down here, and I'm in a few NFC South groups as well, where people that know people and know people, you know how that goes, that they are going to be still looking to try to bring someone else in, at least in the next draft, to try to bring in, that training aspect. And at some point, Ritter probably will be shuffled to the number 2. I'm not sure what is going to be the deal with Heineke. I honestly feel like he's probably going to be almost on a journeyman status at some point, kind of just shuffled on out.
So let's get to the next game before we spend 20 minutes on New Orleans, Atlanta, which really doesn't deserve that much attention.
No,
Pittsburgh with Cincinnati. We have Pittsburgh giving a point to Cincinnati, which I don't understand at all. I mean, Pittsburgh, I don't think Pittsburgh from here on out should be a favorite at any time. Their defense is the only thing that's kind of holding them together, and they're really not playing good lately with a quarterback like Pickett. Again, there's another bust at quarterback from that class. So I like Cincinnati. Jack, who do you got?
Yeah, I said one of my picks. I like the Steelers in a tight one. They fired the offensive coordinator this week. No complaints from the offense now. No complaints. No restrictions. They have a new look. We'll see what happens, whether they take off or not. And for Mike Tomlin to fire one of his coaches in season says a lot, because Tomlin's not that type of guy.
I think
Jim Tomlin was under tremendous. Jim Tomlin was under tremendous pressure to fire Canada from the media, and that's why that happened. I don't think he really wanted to fire him in season.
Exactly.
He got Pickett as a quarterback. I don't care who the offensive coordinator is. Who do you like there?
I like Pittsburgh, and I think Cincinnati, with the obviously the loss of Joe Burrows, is in a little disarray right now. I think they, and then their injuries are hurting them too. Higgins out, and they still have their running game, and Chase is not 100%, and that's why I like Pittsburgh to win this game.
Pags, who do you got?
Well, I picked Pittsburgh as one of my 3 picks. So the fact that you think that Pittsburgh shouldn't be given any points, I mean, the defense, Cincinnati is nothing without Joe Burrows. They're nothing. And that's really what it comes down to. So the fact that he ain't playing means Cincinnati may not win another game.
So you're telling me that Pittsburgh's defense is better than the Jets' defense?
Kind of. I think that has more to do with morale. Yeah, I was gonna say I think that has more to do with morale.
Because to me the Jets have a great defense too. That doesn't mean they're going to win the game. I think the Pittsburgh defense is maybe in the top 5 in the league, but I think the Jets are maybe in the top 5 in the AFC too.
Mac, I think a bigger question. Mac, a bigger question in that game is this. Is the Cincinnati defensive unit going to let up the way the Jets have the last couple of weeks? Do they see the season as being gone now? That's the big question, whether they're going to let up or whether they're going to have such resolve, they're going to push together, try to make the playoffs and salvage the season. I don't know what the answer is.
There's no salvaging this season. They're not going to be able to catch up everywhere, and that's part of the problem. I think that Cincinnati has relegated this season as a loss, and that they're going to kind of come back better than ever, next year.
I would agree.
Okay. Does anybody here think that the Panthers will beat Tennessee? Or
we didn't give Sonya. Sonya never said anything about it.
Yeah, Sonya, Falcon fan or Panther fan. I don't get this.
We never asked her about Pittsburgh, Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Thank
you. Thanks, Jack. I appreciate that. I really think that this is going to be the Steelers game. I agree with all of you gentlemen who talk about not only are the Bengals now plagued with this key injury with Joe Burrow being gone, but let's be honest, they kind of looked up and down even before he left for the season. With the fiasco, even though there's been some drama with Canada and the Steelers, like I said earlier, with another comparison, Mike Tomlin always kind of finds a way to get it done. This is a huge AFC matchup with them. They're huge rivals. And I just feel like that Browning was a practice squad quarterback before he was suddenly thrust into this position. And I think that he doesn't have the experience in this particular lineup to overcome Mike Tomlin's crew today. So I have the Steelers in this game.
All right, I'm the only one picking Cincinnati. I made sure I starred that one because I'm the only one to pick that. So anyway, we've got Carolina again at Tennessee. Anybody here think Carolina could win this game?
I think so. I'm picking them to upset Tennessee. I don't think much of Tennessee. In the beginning of the season, I thought Carolina was actually going to win their division. I thought they'd go like 8-9. I thought the division was awful. You didn't have to have a winning record to win it. And Carolina, they underperformed. We talk about defenses giving up. They had a good defense going into this season. What's happened to them? I have no idea. We keep focusing on Bryce Young. Why don't we focus on the team, their defensive unit? And they still have some games left to play. I won't say to salvage the season, but it's hard for me to imagine them going 1-16 when all is said and done. I think they'd win 3-4 games at the end of the day, by the end of the year. And this is definitely a winnable game against a Tennessee team that's struggling themselves.
You feel the same way?
Who? You kind of breaking up, Mac.
Me?
Jim, do you feel that?
Okay.
Do you agree with Jack?
No, I think what happened is Carolina put a lot of money into getting Bryce Young. Now they got problems because they need other positions. And I think that's what's hurting them. I think Tennessee truly is in a rebuild. I don't know if Vrabel will survive it, though. But I think they're truly but I think Tennessee.
Oh, Vrabel is secure. No, he's secure. He can get a head coaching job at a number of other places.
But what I'm saying is he going to be in Tennessee.
Why not?
You got to remember, you got a new general manager in Rand Carthon who came from San Francisco. So he knows the coaching staff's there. I'm just telling you, I wouldn't be shocked.
Well, we don't know the relationship. It's all about that. You could come in and inherit someone else's guy, but if you really get along great with them, you might keep him because Vrabel is well established.
Yeah, but there's some things about Vrabel that is concerning when you hear about him, especially with Rand, because he likes to take control of everything. Vrabel does behind the scenes.
Pags, what is your thoughts on this Carolina game? And what I've heard is Vrabel might go to New England after Belichick leaves. What are your thoughts about this game?
Hey, I put all my eggs in this basket for Tennessee here, as I have only 5 people left out of, I think there was 1,600 people in a survivor pool. And it was tough to pick any of these games this week because of Thursday night, Thursday being, 6 teams playing. So I got all my eggs in my basket here for Tennessee. Sorry, Sonia. I need them to pull this out because, like I said, out of 1,600 people, there's only 5 people left in my survivor pool. So if I got to fly down to Tennessee to help them win myself, I might do that.
And I'm already wearing a jersey to help my team, so I'll go down there. I'm 4 hours away. So as much as I hate to admit the stats,
we've got.
Just keep talking, Tanya. He'll catch up.
He'll catch up.
You guys. I was saying I'll have to go down there and help them myself as much as so in my pick'ems, I'm gonna always pick my team. You guys know how that goes. You never pick against your team. Like it might be that one time that they win and then you've picked against them and then hey, what type of faith did you have? But
can't talk bad about the family.
Yes. So in all honesty, I do see that Tennessee could pull this out. It's in the pick'ems, a 61% chance that Tennessee is going to pull them out their home. Let's be honest, the Panthers are plagued by injuries, cornerback position. Both cornerback positions are questionable at best. J.C. Horn is another one. We've literally run Chuba Hubbard down, kind of like we did Chris Christian McCaffrey. He's now questionable, or he may actually be on the entire IR. He's questionable about coming back today. He's had some off and on injuries. That O-line, I mean, you guys are probably going to get tired of me talking about the O-line ad nauseum. Like, Panthers fans, for lack of a better word, despise the entire production of the O-line right now. They are allowing Bryce to get sacked in the pocket. He doesn't even have to come out and be a running quarterback to be under pressure. He literally, that O-line almost assists with him being sacked because they just collapse on him every single time. It's hard to watch because of, like, I don't remember which of you said earlier, they put so much time and money and all this switcheroo, getting rid of solid players to get Bryce. And like I said, it's going to be at least another year before we see anything substance. And honestly, I don't think we're going to pull out 3 or 4 wins, Jack. I think you would want to say that, because 2 of those games are division rivalries with the Saints and the Falcons, and I just don't see it being done. We've already played them away. The home advantage is not always advantageous for us, not at least in this situation, but definitely at Tennessee today. I think it will be close because the Panthers have shown a lot of offensive potential when they are playing solidly. But in the end, I think it probably will come down to a field goal.
For the sake of the fan base, they're going to want to win some games because Chicago would get the number 1 pick, and that would be extra painful.
But I think you've probably forgot we owe Chicago another pick anyway next year. So if you think about it, we're probably like it is what it is. We're going to lose regardless.
You think Frank Wright is done?
Yes, because to be honest, no, let me just be honest with you guys. Tepper is not going to move him because Tepper is not football oriented. He has this new soccer team in Charlotte that he's putting all his resources in. He knew when he pulled Wright from Indianapolis that he was already a losing coach. And you go from pulling Rule, who is from the college football arena, he has the success with Baylor when he was there, but he doesn't have the NFL coaching experience. You come in, you give Steve Wilkes an opportunity, who was looking really good with us, and then you do not even interview him for the position, and you allow him to be moved. Panthers fans are outraged across the board because of that one thing, and they often express that because of that one incident that we're kind of like in a doom situation, kind of like bad karma across the board at this point. And when you bring in a person that's proven to be, for lack of a better word, loser with Frank Wright, there it is.
Okay, so again, like we do with the Jets, we're spending way too much time on the Carolina Panthers. Okay. They're going nowhere. So let's welcome in Mo Better from Coffee and Sports. How you doing today, Mo? Glad to have you aboard.
Doing great. Morning, everybody.
Hey, welcome, Mo.
So Mo, I wanted you to come on. I'm not sure who your favorite team is. Probably 49ers. The Eagles, like everybody else over there on the Sports Empire Network.
No, I'm a Niners
beautiful,
fan.
Good. So we got the Phillies. All right. So we got the Philadelphia Eagles. We've got the Dallas Cowboys, and we got the San Francisco 49er representatives here. Probably the best 3 teams in the NFC right now.
Well, it's a transition, Mac.
And
Sonia mentioned Steve Wilkes, the coordinator for the 49ers. A great transition just now.
Thanks.
Okay.
And if the Niners win the Super Bowl, the Carolina fan base will be even unhappier.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, there you go. I'm glad we're still talking about Carolina. So Mo,
I didn't do it.
let's get into what I wanted to talk to you about. Why I have you here. Tom Brady came out and he talked about the way the NFL is today. And I know you and Chris, you guys analyze the NFL almost every day on your show. And Tom Brady says this is probably one of the worst products on the air right now, the NFL. What do you think that's true? And if so, what do you think has happened to the NFL over the last few years?
I don't know if I agree with that it's the worst product. What I will say is because as the league has evolved and it's become a more quarterback-driven league, franchises are so dependent on that one position. And if you don't have a franchise quarterback or a competent quarterback, your entire franchise is stalled, and it can stall for the next 5 to 10 years. Look at some of the bad quarterback play just in the league now that has determined divisions, seasons, jobs. If you look at the Jets, had they had a competent quarterback, let's say Aaron Rodgers doesn't go down, I can't guarantee you Super Bowl, but that's a legit playoff contender who would have a shot. But because of bad quarterback play, they're not going anywhere. They're desperate. Look at the Giants, same situation. Look at the Patriots. I mean, you can go throughout the league. I don't think it's necessarily the product as a whole is bad, but there is a lot of bad quarterback play on a league that is dependent upon that position.
I agree to a certain extent, but why do you think the Philadelphia Eagles are 9-1? It's because of line play, and I think that's
100%.
what's killing teams is the line play. Because look at where they're dominating at, the defense and offensive line, and line play has really went down in the NFL because they don't play. They're not taught like when I played. They're in spread offenses. They never get in stances, a real true run stance. And that's what's happening. And then obviously the quarterback's making it, but you got to have a line to protect your quarterback. You got to have a line.
No, I agree. I would agree with that as well. But I would say you do need a line. But some of these quarterbacks are just not very good quarterbacks. Take for instance, you bring up a great point. Look at Brock Purdy with the Niners. I don't think Brock Purdy is a top 10 quarterback, but because the Niners have an established offense and right. They have a great offensive line. They've got a great play caller in Kyle Shanahan who knows how to play call his guys into advantages when it comes to matchups. And then you've got consistency because McCaffrey in the run game establishes what you do week to week. That might be a key too. So I would say to Tom Brady's point, maybe the league or at least some franchises are struggling with identities. What do we do best? What do we hang our hats on? When you look at Miami, you know what they hang their hat on, their offense, their explosive plays downfield, the speed of their wide receivers and other skill positions. That's what they hang their hat on. I look at the Eagles, and you said it, that offensive line. It starts with the offensive line, but then you've got a unique quarterback with a unique skill set and then two explosive wide receivers. They're dominant because they can control. I think they're the best team in football because they control both sides of the line. That's the key, right? They're dominant up front, and they're dominant on defense, and they're dominant up front offense. To beat the Eagles, your offensive line and your defensive line, if you don't win that battle, you can't beat the Eagles.
Why would you say that
I think
that the 49ers have on their defensive line and they haven't been getting as much pressure on the quarterback? Why would you say that is?
You know what? I think really there's been a lot of guys that have been in and out of the lineup, but it's been a bit of a disappointment. You make a great point. I think it starts with at the tackles on defense. They haven't been getting that push. Bosa hasn't been as effective, but I will say the addition of Chase, it's energized that team. It's also made it to where Bosa's not seeing the double teams that he normally sees. He's getting more one-on-ones. Chase is getting more one-on-ones. So I think going down the stretch, that front seven is going to be a more cohesive. They're going to be in hunt mode. I think their front seven defensively lines up with what the Eagles do with their front seven.
But their disadvantage is they got to go to.
I agree with a lot everybody's saying, but I also think, Mo, that the teams that are successful in the NFL right now are the teams that can run the ball the best. The Eagles, the 49ers, even Kansas City with Pacheco a little bit. Pittsburgh right now, they're not running the ball like they used to. They got that one guy that's playing pretty well as late, but they weren't running the ball well. And I think that me and Jim have talked about this a lot of times, that the NFL, if you want to win now, if you got a good running game, you're going to win because the defense is more lighter and is more athletic than bigger. Philadelphia is the exception to that, where Philadelphia can stuff your run. Most defenses can't do that anymore.
No, I would agree with that. I think that because the league has gotten so dependent upon the QB position, and we always talk about it's a quarterback-driven league, they've gotten away from basics. Jim could appreciate this. In his day, if you had a bell cow running back, you could control the line of scrimmage. You also kept the opposing team's guys off the field because you're going on these long, time-consuming drives. You're dominating time of possession.
You shorten the game, and that's all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Guys, it's a passing league. Your best runners usually are the quarterbacks. You take the Ravens, who's their best running back? It's Lamar Jackson.
He's not running as much as he has in the past.
No, he hasn't, but still he's the best running back. Josh Allen with the Bills, he's their best actual runner. Okay, that's just the way it is. And the rules protect the quarterback as long as he knows when to go down.
But if you notice, it might trend a different way because of C.J. Stroud. He's a decent runner. He's not a great. And even Jalen Hurts, they run when they have to, but they're not running out of the pocket anymore. And that's the success in it. Even Dak Prescott, you very rarely see him run anymore. So the trend is going back to those quarterbacks that have good vision.
Well, the trend is how effective the quarterback is when he's flushed out of the pocket. Jalen Hurts is one of the most effective quarterbacks when he's flushed out of the pocket, knowing what to do at the last moment.
Okay.
I would agree with that. I definitely would agree with that. So guys, let's what are you going to say, Pags?
Nah, I was clearing some dead airspace.
All right. So let's get to the picks. Mo, join us in picking as we finish up here. We're at Tampa Bay and Indianapolis. Is the biggest surprise, give me your pick too, but one of the biggest surprises this year is the way Baker Mayfield has played with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jack, what do you think?
I have a buddy who's a season ticket holder in Tampa Bay, and he told me they're starting to complain about Todd Bowles there. We talk about coaches who could be on the hot seat. I mean, good coordinator, but it's the second stint as a head coach, and he's not quite getting it done. In fairness to him, the Buccaneers were a team in transition also, so maybe wasn't the best job to get. I mean, I think they beat the Indianapolis Colts today. They eked out a victory. They're two evenly matched teams, and the Colts, basically an average team. Jonathan Taylor's rounding into form a little bit, so they're going to run the ball a lot. And let's not get too excited about Minshew. He's a good, capable backup who could win. But between him and Baker Mayfield, I take Baker.
What do you think, Jim?
I like Tampa Bay in this game because Bowles, just like what was mentioned, he's on the hot seat. He's got to win this game. This is a must-win for him. I know they have some injuries, but they have to win because they don't have an easy rest of the season schedule.
Pags?
See, I think that this is the demise of Bowles. And when it comes down to this game's going to come down to coaching. And I think Steichen's a better coach. And I think that alone is going to be what wins this game for the Colts in comparison to the 49ers. And everything that you guys said about him is true, that it is like a must-win game, but I think it causes the demise.
Would you agree with that, Sonia? You think that's it for Bowles?
If not this week, very soon. I definitely see Tampa getting this loss. And going back to his days with Carolina, we see the up and down of how his production was with the team. And unfortunately, plagued with the additional injuries that Tampa has, I just don't see them getting done, especially on the road to Indianapolis. So, yeah, I would agree with Pags.
Smart girl.
Mo, do you think that this is the end for Bowles also? I mean, as I said, it's a transitional team. Are you going to blame Bowles for the way Tampa Bay is playing right now?
The head coach wears that hat. Look, I think Todd Bowles has proven himself time and again in this league. But if the Buccaneers keep trending to where they're trending, I do think he's going to lose his job. Look, you know how it goes. Eventually, they want somebody to blame, and it starts at the top. They're going to look at the head coach. The GM's not going to fire himself. Todd Bowles will be the guy that falls on the sword. When I look at this matchup, look, Baker has played well. I would say that coming into the season, if you told me he was going to play as well as he played, that was surprising. The chemistry that he has with Mike Evans and the other receivers, he's actually played well. I think he's earned himself a right to come back as the starting quarterback. They may very well draft the quarterback, but I think Baker will be their starting quarterback next year. As far as this game goes, I do think the Colts win. Shane Steichen's a really good coach. He will do enough to coach Minshew up that I think the Colts will win a tight game.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to skip a couple. Let's get to the three I think of the most interesting games. Kansas City -9 against Vegas. Listen, they're playing very inspired ball for their new coach right now. Is it possible they can upset Kansas City in Vegas? It's possible. I think Kansas City has better start getting the ship righted, or they're going to be in problems when it comes to the playoffs, Jack. So I'm going to go with Kansas City here.
Yeah, I think Kansas City should win on talent, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I mean, the Raiders have a pretty good, defense. Max Crosby is going to be bringing it, with the rest of the unit. When all's said and done, the Chiefs, should win a defensive type game, something like 20-13.
Jim, would you agree with that? Do you think
No,
that
I
Kansas
think
City wins
Kansas
this?
City is going to get after him. Max Crosby is doubtful with a knee injury. He is going to play, but he won't be as effective. And Max Crosby makes that defense go. So I think Kansas City, even though they have the wide receiver issues, are going to have problems with this. They're going to be too formidable because their defense is not. They're playing better. They're getting better.
Pags, I know one of your friends.
I don't think
Captain
Antonio
Jack
Pierce could keep his job no matter what the Raiders do moving forward. I think Mark Davis is looking for big fish and a big name.
But he's done that, and it didn't work out for him.
Right.
Pags, I know one of your best friends is Captain Jack, the spokesperson for the Raiders. I know he's been on seventh heaven here for the last couple games. What are your thoughts? Can the Raiders will they pull up an upset here?
No. I think that the Raiders get whipped like an old-fashioned whooping. I just think that I think Kansas City's a little upset about how they lost the last game, all the drops. I'd be willing to bet that every receiver has got that new age stickum on their hands so that they can make sure to hold on to the ball because, I mean, all the drops that were so bad last week. So I expect them to do much better this week, and I think they're going to just roll over the Raiders.
So, Sonia, let me give you this scenario. The Raiders go hard with Taylor. Taylor has a good game. Say he runs over for 100 yards, gets a couple touchdowns. They keep Mahomes off the field. When he gets on the field, he's got to go deep to those receivers who can't catch the ball. Raiders win. Does that sound like it could happen?
I just don't think so. I kind of agree with Pags. I actually know Captain Jack too. I met him at the Football Hall of Fame induction. I think I know Pags as well back in 2016 in Canton. And I know that how they both go hard for that team. I just feel like the Chiefs are high power on offense and defense, and I just don't see it. And then when you add the Max Crosby doubtfulness for today's game, I just think it's a recipe for a huge win. And I think that they may put up points like Dallas does, to be honest with you, in the last couple of games.
All right. And Mo, I guess you would go ahead and agree with all of
I think in the end the Chiefs will win the game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer because I do think that they're going to run the ball with Josh Jacobs, and the strategy will be to keep Mahomes off the field. And Kansas City's the better team, but they're not an explosive offense. They haven't been explosive offense all season. They don't score. I mean, you've seen all their games. What they don't do is they don't score in the second half of games. They don't score. If you can bracket Kelsey and make those other guys try to make plays in one-on-ones, they're not good at it. They don't have a legit number one wide receiver. They have a bunch of number threes. And that's going to be a problem for them going forward. So I think they win this game, but I think it's a lot closer than most people will.
Yeah.
Allen's going to be out today, too.
Who's going to be out, Jim?
The Scanlon, the receiver who dropped
Who's
it.
going to be out?
What's his first name?
I thought you were talking.
No, Kansas City.
I thought you meant Taylor Swift was going to be out for the game. That was that's why you were saying.
She's in Europe. She's in Europe. She's still on tour.
But Pacheco's gotten like 3 touchdowns. Pacheco's been looking really good, and I think he will carry the team. He's done a lot this year.
Yeah, he has gotten better.
I agree with that. Very good, effective back. Buffalo at Philadelphia. Look, Buffalo. This game is very important to the Bills. The Eagles, offensively, I think they'll be able to run the ball against the Bills. I don't think the Bills will be able to run the ball against the Eagles. I think it's going to come down to whether Josh Allen plays out of his mind or not to win this game, Jack. Who do you got?
No, the Eagles have to contain Stephon Diggs, which they, I believe they should. They're going to emphasize that. And what he does has no running game, Josh Allen. So where they're going to get their points from? I mean, Buffalo's defense is going to have to come up with a really supreme effort. Hope that the Eagles had a bit of a letdown since the Chiefs game, that they were so emotionally invested in their last couple of games. But with that said, the Eagles are just point blank a better team than the Bills. I think the Bills' window is closed. They're not the team they were the last couple of years, and I don't consider them a serious Super Bowl contender. They revived the Bills. Why? Because they beat the Jets last week and looked good. I mean, come on. We're talking about the Jets now. I hate to say it.
All right. So, Jim, I know you play for Buffalo during your end of your career after you did your thing in Dallas. Give me the scenario where Buffalo beats the Eagles.
They're going to have to run the ball, obviously, better, and with Moss. And they're going to have to – Diggs is going to have a big game. He's going to have a huge game. I think those are the things. And the defense, like Jack said, would have to play out of their mind because that is one of the most difficult stadiums to play in. And it's always been that way in Philly. But I think Buffalo can do it now. I think it would have to come down to the last play of the game for Buffalo to win it. Because if Josh Allen is hot that day, but he's thrown a lot of interceptions. He's thrown 13, 14 interceptions during the year, and that's not a recipe for winning. I think McDermott,
Pags, I know.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I'm just saying McDermott
Pags,
is really burning. Let's see.
Finish up, Jim.
All I'm saying was that he's on the hot seat. He's going to have a big win down the road.
We got to get you new Wi-Fi there, Mac.
Pags, I know you're going to. Listen, I've got 6. I got 5 other people on here right now. I'm used to having one, so I mean that's what I got. Pags, I know you're going to welcome the Buffalo Bills with open arms there in Philadelphia. You're probably going to, you're going to give them big standing ovation when Josh Allen comes out there. What would the Bills have to do, really? I mean, be realistic to beat the Eagles in Philadelphia.
Actually, I feel a lot differently than everybody else here. I look at this as a little bit of a trap game, and it sounds funny to talk about the Bills as a trap game. But, if I'm a player on the Eagles, there's 2 games that I circled, the Chiefs and the 49ers. 49ers because of the bapping they did, because they were really good at crying about the fact that they lost the NFC Championship game. And the Chiefs because we were just in the Super Bowl with them. In between them, you have the Bills. So I look at this as a little bit of a trap game. Will the Eagles win it? I think so. I think it's going to be very, very close, a lot closer than it should be. I think the Eagles are far and away a better team, but I think that there's been a little bit of looking forward and maybe a little bit of sniffing yourself. So I hope that they come out. I feel like this could go one of two ways. It's really, really close, or it's a get-right game and we blow them out. I'd look at it more as a really, really close game that the Bills could possibly even win.
Sonia, do you think everybody's here? They're all taking the Eagles. Do you think the Eagles win this easily, or is it close?
I think the Eagles win it easily. Buffalo is 1-3 on the road with their away games. I think that the Eagles can not only quiet down Diggs, but if they can also keep James Cook leveled out because he has a lot of yards. If they could kind of isolate those two gentlemen. And Josh has actually thrown 12 interceptions, and we see how he gets once he throws a couple of them back to back. He kind of becomes frazzled. I think once you get in his head and get to the mental and isolate those two gentlemen, that the Eagles can run away with this in Philadelphia.
Sonia, when the Bills win, I'm going to jump on the table and break it.
All right. Good luck.
So Mo, I mean, everybody likes the Eagles, whether it's close or whether it's or they're killing the Bills. Josh Allen throws a lot of interceptions, but he can make big plays too, and he makes a big plays throwing on the run. And I know the Eagles will be chasing him. So to me, I think this is a toss-up game. What do you think?
I think it's a game that it'll be close early, but I think the Eagles will pull away in the second half. I think the Eagles front seven, they'll get to Josh Allen. They'll turn him over a couple of times. Look, at some point in every game, you can feel it when you watch the Bills play. Josh Allen, as gifted as he is, he gets in his own head far too often. And I think he starts to feel pressure more than he should. So I do think at some point in the game, he will get in his head again. He'll turn the ball over. He'll get down on himself. And that his mood, the way that he is on the sidelines, that impacts his teammates as well. So I do think at some point the Eagles will just pull away. They're the better team.
You make a point about Josh Allen getting down on himself. He looks like the most unhappy elite quarterback in the NFL. He just doesn't look like he's happy playing the game.
I agree.
That was my point. Once he starts turning the ball over, it's like it's no coming back. That's exactly the point I made. And I love the Josh Allen. I think he's a great player. But you're right. It's the mental.
Yeah, if you put his attitude,
hey guys, great
anger
show.
If you made him angry instead of just down on himself, he reminds me a lot of Jeff George.
Wow,
that's a good
big arm. Big arm, definitely a big arm, and definitely has an attitude. I agree, guys. Thanks for everybody coming in. Keith Angle, Robert Butler earlier. Thank you to Sonia for coming and sharing an hour with us. Pags, every week's great having you on. And Mo, thank you for stopping in and contributing today. Great job today, all of you. Folks, have a great day. Enjoy your Sunday. It's the last of the NFL for a week anyway, until Thursday.